It's what you don't see that ensures your new home will stand up well into the future. What extra steps does your builder take to ensure your house is there to stay? Here to walk us through a strong foundation is Dorian Graf, Construction Manager of Starwood Homes. This is Daily Web TV. Today we're talking about the right foundation, and we're talking about the right foundation with a new home. Here with us is Dorian from Starwood Homes. Now Dorian, is the foundation one of the most important parts of a home?
Absolutely, that's where the whole house starts from. The rest of the structure of the house all sits on the foundation, right. And if that's not done correctly, then it just poses problems down the road.
So how do you do a foundation correctly?
The key factor on that is first you start with your excavation and make sure that you're down on solid, undisturbed soil. In some cases you have soil where it's been engineered fill because there was poor soil conditions originally. Or you need to dig a little bit deeper than you normally would, but you always want to get down to that solid soil where it can handle the weight of the entire structure of the house.
So it stops the house shifting, right?
That's correct.
So if that bit's on unsolid ground, it'll do that.
That's correct.
And that's not good.
Absolutely not correct. Yeah, that's right. Yeah, that poses a lot of problems. So that's why it's key to make sure that you're down on the solid soil.
So how do you inspect that? So your workmen, they dig the hole, essentially, and I'm putting it in layman's terms. Yes. So you dig the hole, and then is it inspected?
Yeah, we during the course of the excavation, I mean, like just visually, just through experience, we can see if there's going to be an issue or not. Anytime that we suspect that there's an issue, we would at that point then call in an engineer to test the soil conditions. One of the last ones that happens, once it's cleared all of our stuff, is the actual municipal inspection. At the time of just before pouring the footings, we would have the municipal inspector come out, check the soil for a final sign-off that everything is acceptable.
So lots of steps to make sure we have a good, solid foundation. So we have this great hole. What happens next?
Well, as I said, then you would form the footings. The purpose of the footing is to evenly distribute the entire weight of the building onto a wider surface area. So the foundation wall itself is 8 or 10 inches wall depending on the spec, and it transfers that load to approximately 20-inch wide strip of concrete that goes around underneath the entire foundation wall, and it's locked in place with either a keyhole or tie rods that actually poke up out of the footings. So
what does Starwood do to ensure that this is the most solid foundation? Do they do extra steps other than the norm? Yes,
actually, there's one extra step that we generally do. It's not required by the building code, but we do put 2 strips of reinforcing rod in the actual footing itself. Oftentimes when there's poor soil conditions or a question on the bearing capacity of the soil, that is what's done to reinforce that footing so that it stays solid. We do that as just a norm because we just want to be certain that everything's 100% and go a little bit extra.
So as a homeowner, we know that we have that really solid base. So is that now done? You've got the footings in, that's it?
No, the next stage then is to form the walls. So the footings were poured, and now the guys come in and they set up the formwork to pour the foundation wall. And that's what you end up seeing as your basement, basically. Within that, there's actually another step that we do as well.
Is this an extra step for Starwood?
For Starwood, yes. What we do is, again, with the idea of reinforcing rod, we like to put 2 pieces of reinforcing rod just below the window line, approximately 2.5 feet below the top of the foundation wall, to provide extra strength to that concrete wall. Now, again, it's not a requirement per se, but it's another thing that we like to do to help minimize, any potential for disturbance of the foundation wall after the wall has been backfilled.
Now, is that the final step?
Well, that's the final step as it relates to actually the concrete pour of the foundation. After that, what we end up doing is the waterproofing layer on the exterior, okay, and that prevents any moisture from getting into your basement from the outside.
Right.
Standard requirement just calls for a tar spray application and then a drainage membrane, which is basically like a plastic wrap that goes on the outside. And that is intended just to deflect water, but it doesn't prevent water from actually entering into the foundation if there's any cracking. What we do as our standard is a spray application that's an actual waterproofing membrane. It's about 3/16 of an inch thick. That gets applied right to the foundation wall up to where the grade, the final grade of the house is going to be, and that it's impervious to water. Even in the event of a foundation crack, which, I mean, although we don't like foundation cracks, structurally they're generally not a concern, and the big issue has always been water entering them. This can actually expand a little bit to still block that crack and prevent water from entering your basement.
Ah. Yeah. So, and that's an extra step that Starwood does?
That's correct, yeah.
So building a really strong, solid foundation is what you're all about?
Absolutely, yes. We find that it eliminates a lot of problems down the road for the client, which results in a happier client, obviously, and that makes us happy because then we know that we've delivered a good product to them. And it also lets them rest assured that should they decide to finish the basement, whether with us or by themselves down the road, they can rest assured that behind those walls the solid foundation is still there.
So it's the things you can't see.
That's right.
That's great information. Thank you so much. Now, if you want more information, be sure to visit Starwood's website, which is starwoodhomes.com. I'm Marielle Bradley. We've been talking about great foundations, and you've been watching Daily Web TV.